The Army bought these ranges in 1911, before the First World War, and so we've been here 80 years. We get on very well with the National Park on a number of levels, though I have to say that the fundamental aim of the National Park is not to have the military training of the National Park, and my fundamental aim is to provide training facilities for soldiers who need to go to war. And we have to realise that we have two national objectives here. The national objective for the National Park, and there's a national objective for an army which needs to be trained. Now, we are pragmatic people, and we have to get on. We live up in this remote area of great wilderness and great beauty. And on many subjects, we find we have a similarity of objectives, but the fundamental one is not possible to reconcile. The Army needs large areas to train. We have a highly professional army with very modern weapons, and the more modern the weapons, the bigger area you need. We therefore choose those areas which are most remote from large populations, and historically the Army training areas have always been in those remote wilderness areas, which of course also attract themselves to the ideals of the National Park. Our range is divided up into both a danger area and a dry training area. The dry training area is a girdle of land round the danger area to which the public have permanent access. And we have negotiated this with the National Park recently and have launched pamphlets, information pamphlets, to inform the public. And so the public does have access to 30,000 acres of this land, but clearly the activities which you've seen precludes them from those areas when we are firing within the danger area.
So that's the landowners. But what about the 1 million or so people who come to visit the Northumberland National Park every year? We get a chance to meet some of them. What brings you all the way out here?
We like coming up here for family walks because we love the views.
It is a beautiful landscape, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
How important is it to be able to get access to this sort of information?
Well, it's very important because we can find out where we can go without trespassing. We can also find out a little bit about the history of the place.
And you obviously enjoy coming to visit the National Park. How do you feel about its development into the future, say if there were more people here?
Well, one of the reasons we like it so much is because there aren't many people here, so I'd have mixed feelings about that, I think.
And it's not just informal recreation in the park either. What about the more active pursuits?
We don't want to see it to change really. And with the increasing walkers, it is changing, and the east of the countryside. So we want to stay as natural as possible, with not that many intrusions like boardwalks and gravel paths, because that is a blot on the natural landscape. The National Park are educating people. They do guided walks and things like that, and their wardens sort of educate people on how to use the countryside appropriately, which is a good thing, because mainly the people that use them are from towns, so they don't know how to use the countryside. So the wardens do a lot of good work. I think a lot more people are a lot more green-minded, so I think the National Park will stay as it is, you know, even if the pressure does increase.
As you can see, life in a national park can be complicated. I'm glad I don't have to be in charge, but let's meet the man who is. Graham Taylor is the National Park Officer. You're responsible, in charge if you like. How do you set about juggling all the potentially conflicting interests here?
Well, the first thing I think we have to recognise is that it is a partnership between the nation and the park community. It's a national designation under local stewardship, and that means that we who are in charge of trying to make the whole thing work have got to understand what the local people are trying to do, as well as it were, looking after the national purposes of landscape conservation, recreation and so on. So that's the main thing, a partnership with local community.
How do you achieve that?
Well, the first thing is we don't have very many sticks. It's mostly carrots that we've got. It's persuasion, it's advice, it's a little bit of grant aid to help make things happen. And it's those things which are the main tools.
So you're really encouraging people, trying to get them involved rather than beating them over the head with legislation or
That's
whatever?
right. We're trying to balance various interests, and we're trying to get people to work along with the national purposes, but with local involvement.
And the question I have to ask, how successful do you think you are?
Well, we think we're pretty successful in trying to achieve that balance, but in some ways, of course, you've got to recognise that the purpose of the national park means trying to keep the landscape looking pretty much as it has done for centuries, and therefore one of our ways of judging our success is the fact that things don't happen in the landscape, or that it continues to look the same, and therefore it's what isn't there that's often a measure of our success.
So a national park is so much more than just a beautiful view like this one. It's a workplace, a refuge, it's even a battleground, but most importantly it's a place where conservation should come first. It's really good for all of us to know that our national parks are there for us to enjoy, even if it is just a picture postcard to remind us of what we're missing.